Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to Odintsovo region. And we're just outside of Moscow today, and we're going to have some tours of a couple of apartments. We're actually going to go see two of them. And the nice thing is, it's in the ground floor of this building right behind me. We're going to head inside and check it out. Where I am here is actually a micro district with quite a few apartment buildings that wrap around this area here where this car park is. Now, quite famously, when they build these new micro districts, they put schools, playgrounds, and then a lot of the ground floor areas in these buildings are shops and businesses. Now, this is the actual building we want to go to, and this is actually 15 levels, but we're very fortunate this is on a ground floor that we're going to go and see, so it's quite easy to get in. We've got to go through the door just ahead of us here, and then we have a pin code or a door tag to go in, and we're right there. You can actually see the school just at the end of the street right there, and the developers for these buildings, part of the master plan for this whole area, will include kindergartens, primary schools, high schools, because they know that obviously there's a large amount of people that will move into these areas, and it's a must that they build the infrastructure around these areas. Nice paths, nice walking areas, and we want to go on inside right here. Coming on inside the lobby area here, so there is actually elevators to go up to the upper levels. Now the actual apartments we're going to go see are on the ground floor. Now the interesting thing where I started the video is from the street area. However, there is a walkthrough to go out to the garden area and the play area. So you can see there's a mum preparing their son to go out to the garden. You can see all the other apartments around. It's a little bit echoey in here, but that's always with new buildings and objects like this. The letterboxes, now not all these are full because not everyone's moved into the complex yet. And then where we want to go is around the corner. Somebody's even put the advertising for Globus here. This is all the information for the building and then people to contact as well. And that's interesting where they've got the specials for the supermarket. Now, to get into the lower ground floor, there would be a keypad entry, but just to make it easier, I've got it open already. And where we want to go is on the left-hand side here, and we're going to head inside. Coming inside the corridor of the two apartments, there is basically a door on the left here, apartment number 1 and apartment number 2. Now, being that this is a daily rental, there is actually a cupboard right here where the linen is, and then the cleaning supplies. Also, because it's completely brand new, they've still got some things they need to set up. The Wi-Fi here for the apartments. This is the junction box and all of the electrics. Really, as a daily rental, the person coming to live here doesn't have to worry about that because you're paying your daily fee, kind of similar to a hotel, and that's it. I'm going to point this out because I show this in quite a few videos, these heavy doors, and a lot of people question why do they need such heavy doors. To get inside, we've already gone through 3 doors, but it's really also insulation for heating and also for sound at the same time. This is actually a very nice door here. Also a mirror on the back. Now, I did take my shoes off before coming in, so I've got just bare feet, you can see. And then there is actually some slippers here, similar to the hotel slippers. Somewhere to put your coat. Now you will notice 2 coats, because we might have a surprise guest coming up. Now we've got a little entranceway right here. And then somewhere to put your shoes. These little trays, especially for winter if you're coming from outside. The bathroom off to the left. I'll show you that in just a second. Then coming into this main living area. Now these are studio apartments. What's really cool is there's an upstairs mezzanine. Actually, I put my bag right here. Little desk or workspace, somewhere to put a TV. There will be one on there at some point. Already the cables are all set up. And then sofa, and this can actually pull out to be a bed as well. You'll see here central heating, which is standard in every apartment and house in Russia. Actually, it's very warm in here today. It's actually warm the last few days, especially coming out of winter. And you've got this small kitchenette, however, very practical. Full-size fridge, microwave, hot plate. There's the extractor and some drawers. Being that this is a daily rental, it has all of the cutlery, I think glasses, and then also the plates. So when you come to rent it, it's very similar to a hotel or an Airbnb, just a Russian version of that. There is a clothes drying stand. I will talk about that when I show the bathroom in a second. And even a vacuum as well. And I think the main part of this apartment. Now, I will show you upstairs in a second the main sleeping area. There is a mezzanine in here, or an upstairs floor. You can obviously see that from the steps right here. And then you can see out to the garden area. Now, being that we're coming out of winter, it's not as cheery and sunny. Today is actually a little bit rainy, but there's a very big kids play area here. You can see some mums with prams, and this is actually secure and gated, so all of the apartments around this are in one complex. So even if the kids go outside, it's no problems. So yeah, 4-meter ceilings. These are amazing how much space you kind of get. So when you come in the actual apartment itself, it doesn't feel quite as spacious, but when you open these curtains, it really comes into its own. And I think we'll head on upstairs and have a look at the sleeping area. When this apartment was set up as 2 different flats or micro apartments, this whole mezzanine floor was added. It wasn't part of the original design of this location. So someone's actually custom made all of the steps and all of this upstairs area. And you've got the bed almost ready to go. Now this was handed over to the rental company just recently, so they are just in the final stages of preparing it for rental. So they're going to put the mattress down, put the sheets on. There's actually a TV here as well. I think that's the lights for the whole room. And there's actually even some storage over there, which is nice. You can put some clothes. I'm not sure why they've got some wine glasses up here, but I think maybe the person who will eventually stay on this upstairs level. Have a look through that window again. If that was fully open. Now there is obviously a bit of a lower head height here, but you gain that by having the mezzanine built in together. And then coming back downstairs to have a look at the bathroom. Now, considering this is a micro apartment, the actual bathroom is quite spacious. And you've got the washing machine right there, toilet. Now they do actually have in here a hot water system. Now, depending on the time of year, they won't use this except for a couple of weeks during summer. And across all of Russia, they shut down the hot water service, or the water service for the whole region for maintenance. And then you've got your own supply of hot water right there. There is a heated towel rail right on this wall. This is a plug-in electric one. It's pretty easy to use. And then of course you've got a washing machine. So if you're daily renting this, you've got somewhere to do your washing, sink, Then cupboard right there, and then a very big shower. This is actually rather large. The space of this shower is like a shower and a half. I've seen other people who do reviews of apartments and they stand inside the shower to give it a test of how spacious it is and how many people can fit in there. You can actually see the gardener in the window going around and tidying up. So what do you think of this studio apartment? So again, this is a daily rental apartment, and this is actually managed by a company who, on behalf of the owner, daily rents it. And then they've actually got a cleaner that would come in on the days when people aren't here. This is brand new, so they've just got maybe a day or so, or 2 days of basic setup, and then it will be good to rent out. Actually, now talking about this dryer here, I get lots of comments that in the bathroom there isn't a tumble dryer or a second machine for drying clothes. Now, every house and apartment in Russia has one of these clothes drying stands. These are the ones you get at IKEA or in Russia Hof. And you just set it up, put your stuff to dry. Normally you actually put it by the radiator, or you can open the window as well. And your clothes will dry without needing a tumble dryer. You don't need a second appliance in the apartment. Let's walk in the second apartment. Now I do get confused sometimes. I call them apartments, I call them flats, and then I also call them studios. And have a look who is here.
Hi for everybody.
This is Yuri. Now I will put a microphone on him in just a second, and we'll talk about these flats and apartments. I think most people who've watched the channel know Yuri already. However, if you're new to watching my videos, he is very famous in Moscow for apartment building or creating. So we're going to have a little bit of a small interview with you in just a second. Now, you can see the smile on his face already. So coming into the second apartment, I got so excited when I saw him. So you've got a small corridor here. Now there's a little bit less space than next door. You don't really need any room in this corridor. You can put your jackets on the hooks right there. You've got a wardrobe to put away some stuff. Plenty of room for your jackets and coats and things like that. You've even got a bit of room under the stairs. So this also has the upper mezzanine. And then even there's a ironing board. There is another drying stand. So this is a second daily rental apartment right here. And have a look at this kitchen. Now, Yuri's gonna step back just like I'm stepping back. And this is a very spacious kitchen, and actually quite a bit bigger. It's really not like next door where it was a kitchenette. This is full kitchen.
Yeah.
So there is everything you need. Actually big sink as well. There's the hot plate, full-size fridge, microwave. They just need to figure out where things are going. They've still got some of the sheets that they're setting up before it goes for a full rental capacity. And then there's a sofa back there, enough room for 2 Yuris, at least. And this also would double as a bed as well.
Yeah.
And that's where you see the side lights right there if you wanted to. That's really, if you're in trouble, Yuri, you sleep downstairs,
Yeah.
and your other half sleeps upstairs. And actually on the wall over here, there is also the sockets for a television. And then, importantly, also the central heating on the floor. You can see here the bar. That's actually, it's very warm in here. I don't know about you, but I'm toasty and warm in here. And again, this very large window looking out to the garden area. There is actually some kids and mums over there in the distance. And we'll put a microphone on Yuri in a minute and we'll talk about the rest of the apartment, as Yuri's just being so polite and waiting for me to catch up. So what I'll do is I'll actually walk on upstairs and we'll have a look at this sleeping area. So again, these very big 4-meter ceilings. Now, if this didn't have a mezzanine, imagine how spacious this would feel. And I'm not sure where you'd lay everything out. However, coming up here, you can see there's actually quite a bit more space up here for the bed. Now, I'm pretty sure they're going to leave it like this, where it's just on a mattress, futon style. Quite a lot of cupboards over here, side table, lamps. There is actually a TV up here. It's already hooked up into the internet or Wi-Fi. And then around the corner here, now it is a little bit dark, but there's a nook here. There's actually a chair. You could set up a nice desk. This is where I'd be with my computer. I think it would be absolutely perfect. And have a look downstairs. We can see Yuri there. And these very big windows. Yeah. Very, very nice. These are only on this lower ground floor as well. So we don't have them anywhere else in this building. I'm going to show you the bathroom and then we're going to have a chat to Yuri. I've done this all around about face. This is actually the contact information for the apartment rental. I just noticed here also there's a information about a place where you can do laundry. Now there is washing machines in the apartments. However, there is the option to do washing outside. Actually, these laundries, like you saw on the sign there, are not very popular in Russia. And I know in America they're a big deal. In Australia we've got them. So you've got the bathroom here. So you'll see where the height of the bathroom is reduced because of the mezzanine upstairs. Electric heated towel rail. Actually it's plugged in. I think it's switched off though. Yeah. And then you've got the washing machine here under the sink, which I think I've shown this in a few videos before, where you definitely save space by having it this way. And then nice tapware too. All this black tapware as well. And then the hot water system. So you don't use this year round. This is only for summertime. And essentially, it's more like an emergency hot water service if the water was to stop working. But they do have a couple of weeks a year. Now, other Russians will totally understand what I'm saying. And then have a look, nice big shower space again. You could get a couple of people in here easily, at least a couple of Yuris. Okay, so I'm joined here by Yuri. Now, he's been very nice to allow me to have a look around some of these apartments. Now, if you haven't met him before on some other videos, maybe you want to introduce yourself. Now, just before we start, we don't rehearse any of this. So maybe you can just let everybody know about yourself and what you're doing here in Moscow.
I'm a property developer. We doing apartments and micro apartments for investors in Russia.
Okay, yeah. So basically, Yuri has people who have apartments, and then you come along and do the full remodeling and construction and everything you've seen in these two apartments. You're doing, or you're responsible to do, for the people that you give back the keys to.
Yeah.
And
investors call me, give me keys, and after a few months,
you give the keys back.
I give keys back with remodel, with kitchen, with everything.
Right. So in the initial stage, the person that your investors, they have a little bit of a say over maybe the design or the colors, and you consult with them about that.
Yeah.
But pretty much 99% of what we've seen is you.
Yeah, yeah.
And your guys that help build
Yeah.
these places.
We can help in models, and we can do project, architectural project,
Right.
and design project.
So full start to end.
Yeah. We can buy for investor.
Oh, okay. So you're like a real estate agent in a roundabout way.
Yes, yes. Buy and rent. But we friend. I'm friend with my partners.
Okay, so you've got different people who do different stages.
Yeah.
From some point where a apartment or a house can be purchased through to you giving the keys back. Now, this place was finished, you said, about a week ago.
Yeah, we can.
And then now, the last few days, well, when we've come today, they look like they're just doing the last steps before it'll be daily rented.
Yeah.
So this is 2 different studios. Now, you were telling me the sizes of them, 23 square meters and 25 square meters. Now, that size includes the mezzanine upstairs.
Yeah.
And Yuri was trying to give me some statistics that I couldn't remember. And what do you think of this final project, how it's handed over?
Oh, I like...
Of course, you like all of them, I think, but...
I like interesting object for me. With mezzanine, it's very interesting object because it's not very simple for me, for people. It's something imagine.
And it's really testing, and it's like the next level of remodeling an apartment. Now, this place would have originally had these 4-meter ceilings.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, by adding the mezzanine, it's created more storage space, more living space.
Yeah.
And then these big windows right here, which looking out to the garden. And once the trees and everything starts flowering in a month or 2, you'll kind of want to be staring out that window a whole lot, I think. Now, Yuri, you also have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Now, he creates content in Russian, and you talk about property development.
Yeah.
And all of the pros and cons of buying apartments, selling apartments, renting apartments.
Yeah. And talk about problem with companies, with apartment, because it's nobody talk about problem.
Of course not.
But
everything is beautiful in Russia. Everything is so smooth.
But in remodel, every day we have a problem.
Something, right. Yeah. And actually, if anyone doesn't know, Yuri helped my wife and I with some remodeling our apartment.
Yeah.
And one of the bonuses was the guy that came and did the kitchen spoke English.
Yeah, yeah.
And I hope after he left after 3 days, he was probably ready to see the back of me from talking English for 3 days in a row. But it was super helpful. And actually, Yuri even came to my kitchen consult with my wife. So I got out the chair and Yuri got in the chair with my wife and helped arrange the kitchen. So he knows all of the little things that I probably would not have remembered or noticed. And so if you're interested, so your YouTube channel is called
Invest Remont.
Remont. Now, in the description of the video and in the pinned comment, I'll put your YouTube channel, and I think, is it Instagram or Telegram?
Telegram channel.
Telegram channel. Now, a lot of people probably follow me on Telegram, but maybe you want to follow Yuri.
Yeah, yeah.
I know you post a lot of short videos where you come and film when there's construction going on, and you like to actually point out things that are right and wrong at different stages of the construction. So yeah, I'll definitely put your information in the links. So if you're here in Russia or you're coming to Russia. Now, there's no real restriction. You know, you love micro apartments, but it's not really your limitation in Russia, right? It's...
We're doing not everyday micro apartment.
Okay, so normal size apartments.
Normal size apartment.
So in Russia, it's obviously very open for debate. What is a Russian typical apartment or apartment size? So I know we did go to one of your objects, which was 3 or 4 rooms, and it overlooked the river and the highway and everything like that. And I think that was like 70 or 80 square meters, if you remember. So yeah, you can basically do the development of anybody's apartment. A lot of people in Russia buy apartments in pre-construction of the buildings, or they buy them at a point where the building is handed over from the developer to the owners, and you come in then. That's when you come in and do this. So yeah, if anybody's interested, definitely, I think. Anything else to point out and say? We don't script this. We didn't plan anything we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the prices after this part of the video. I think I'll do it outside, and I can go through because these are daily rentals. So it's obviously a little bit awkward to talk about the price of the property because it's very difficult to give a average price, but definitely as a daily rental, and very similar to Airbnb in Russia. This is hugely popular thing.
Yeah, in Russia we have Sutочна.ru, Bronevik.
So different websites.
Yeah, different.
Very similar to Airbnb. Let's talk about right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely, if you're coming here on a holiday, it's definitely an option to do something like this rather than a hotel.
Yeah.
And these are basically self-contained apartments, of course, right? So, and then I know a lot of the places that you've done are in different parts of Moscow and Moscow region. So there was, when we went to Yekaterinburg, you had a place that was close to the airport as well, right?
Yes.
So I came to Yekaterinburg and we saw some of Yuri's clients there. And the one that was near the airport was appealing to me because if you're coming to the city and you want to be by the airport, that was very nice.
It's very close near airport. It's a very good idea.
For convenience. So yeah, if that's an option, rather than you coming to Russia and staying in a hotel and, you know, you can live like the locals.
Yeah,
right?
Because I think the price very low in apartments.
For the daily rent.
For daily rent.
Compared to a hotel. Absolutely, yeah. Because you're really paying for the whole service of the hotel. Whereas here, you're paying a much lower price. And that just varies a lot depending on location, distance to the city, distance to public transport, how many people are in the playground outside. We've been staring out the window, there's kids and mums out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hope to see you on more videos, Yuri.
Yeah, and now we go to your friend who know English.
Today? Oh, now?
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna finish. Oh, we're gonna go see the kitchen installer.
Maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, all right, we're gonna wrap up the video here.
We wait. He wait us.
Oh, okay then. So yeah, I hope so far you've enjoyed the video, and I'm gonna cut to a clip now of us, or of me talking about the price, and I'll wrap up the video at some point a few minutes from now. So stay watching, and we'll hope to see Yuri on another video.
Bye.
Okay, everybody, so I want to go through some of the information about the apartments that we just saw. Actually, it's a few days later now. I'm not feeling the best. I have a little bit of a sore throat. Hopefully, I'll be better soon. So basically, we went through two different apartments, and they're considered micro apartments or studio apartments. Now, what makes them a little bit different is the fact that it's not just on one level. So there was the staircase that went upstairs to the mezzanine, where you had the bed and then the storage up there as well. So it actually gave you more space because of the higher ceilings. And depending on the two different apartments that I went in, the size varies between 23 and 25 square meters. That's the floor space and then the mezzanine space as well. So actually you gain quite a bit of room by having the steps going up to that upstairs level, if that's the right word to say. Now we'll put some information about the apartment up on the screen right here. So where I was in the Odintsovo region of Moscow. It's in the southwest of Moscow, and the actual nearest train station you can walk to is Vnukovo train station. Now you probably know that name because of the airport, which is a little bit further away. However, there is actually an area where people live called Vnukovo as well. And actually my train that I catch from my house into Moscow goes past the actual micro-district where I was filming that part of the video. And it's really interesting. I can see out the train window those actual buildings. And if you were to actually drive by car physically from there to the center of Moscow, it takes around about 30 minutes by car. And that will really depend on traffic and things like that, especially in the mornings going to Moscow or in the evenings coming away from Moscow. You can get different amounts of traffic. The actual main highway there is called the Minsk Highway. And a lot of the highways in Moscow in the center, or the main roads, are named in the direction of travel outside of Moscow. If you were to catch public transport, now depending on the way that you would do it, you could either get a bus from nearby where the apartments were, or you could walk to the train station. It would take around about 50 minutes from leaving your apartment door to getting to somewhere near Red Square. Now I always use that as a reference point. However, Most people don't go to Red Square, and I've said this many times, unless you might want to go there on a Saturday or Sunday for a walk around the city. Most people will live and work in other parts of Moscow and Moscow region. So it's really just a reference point that I like to give. And the actual studio apartments that I went on a walkthrough, as I pointed out a couple of times, they will actually be for daily rental, something quite similar to an Airbnb if you're not from Russia, or they have a couple of different local platforms that they're rented on. And again, I'll put the prices right here for you to reference this. So daily rental, they would rent for 3,500 rubles per night. Now keep in mind also they're fully furnished, all the cutlery's there, towels, sheets, everything. It's essentially like a serviced apartment. Perhaps you've stayed in one before, or you've been to a apart hotel or some kind of a hotel where they've got a kitchenette in the room and things like that. So you are not staying in a hotel. However, you've got the luxury of the fact that you can just check in and check out, knowing that someone will come in behind and clean everything and sort everything out. The actual staff will come after you've checked out and put all new sheets there, put new towels, fix up the kitchen and things like that. So the currency exchange would work out at 42 US dollars per day, 37 euros per day, 33 pounds per day, or 67 Australian dollars per day. Now, with daily rentals, they are very popular in Russia, and they're a lot more popular in suburban parts of Russia as well. A lot of people want to perhaps rent somewhere close to where they might go do business or work, or maybe they're coming to some sort of an event. For instance, in the Vnukovo area, for instance, you could rent that place, and then you don't have as far to commute to or from a business or some sort of an event that you're going to. If you're interested in these, what they would rent for on a monthly basis, now these are actually set up as a daily rental. However, they could be negotiated to a weekly or monthly rental. That'll really depend on the owner and what they want to do and how they want to sort of work it out. They would rent for 35,000 rubles per month as a studio apartment rental. And that would work out at 428 US dollars, 376 euros, 322 pounds, and 671 Australian dollars. I hope the money exchange rates have come up on the side of me right here, and it makes sense. So I really hope you've enjoyed this walk around of some studio apartments and what you can rent here in Russia. There is a lot of daily rental apartments all throughout Russia, particularly here in Moscow and Moscow region. Even in the buildings where I live immediately here, there's some daily rentals that you can get as well. People would rent in this area for the fact they might be coming to do some work here, or they've got family here and they want to rent something separate. So it's definitely an option. If you're coming from overseas, it's actually quite easy that you can book these places and then pay a deposit or pay the rental, check in and check out. Actually, you don't have to interact with anybody on check-in. They give you a PIN code to get into the building. They then give you also the code to get into the apartments as well. So it's very much a seamless check-in and check-out procedure. I've done it a few times myself, and it's actually really simple. It's sort of like staying in a hotel, but you're staying in an apartment. You're staying in a building with regular people living around you on a daily basis. It's just a different feeling to it. If you like this video and you want to let me know in the comments what you think of these apartments, give it a thumbs up, post a comment. I will leave Yuri's information in the description of the video as well. He's the person that's responsible for the construction and finishing of these apartments. He's a property developer here in Moscow, and I think it's something like 3,000 apartments that he's done over the years. So he's very well versed in the studio apartment niche here in Russia. He's done it also in other cities as far as Vladivostok and other parts of Russia as well. So he's definitely capable of doing it if it was something that you had in mind. If you want to follow my daily activities here in Moscow on Telegram, a link will come up right here. You can click that. And then if you want to watch an old video on the channel, I'll put another apartment tour for you to watch. You can click this link and keep traveling with Russell. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.